It's a crisp November Sunday afternoon. Sunlight spills across my porch, warming the old armchair where I sit. I cradle a steaming coffee mug, its warmth a quiet comfort for an old woman like me. I'm glad you're here, listening to my story. Where are you hearing this from? A chilly autumn breeze rustles the dry leaves scattered on the cracked concrete. I pull my worn sweater tighter, staring down the empty road. Another Sunday, another week without a visitor. My life's decent enough. A cozy little house, a pension that covers the bills, and a dusty bookshelf of mystery novels I've read a dozen times. At 80-something, plenty don't have half as much. But there's an ache no coffee or phone call can fill. I miss my son. I miss our little family more than I've ever admitted. My son, Tommy, now a grown man, runs a chain of auto shops, always on the move. His wife, sharp and busy, apologizes for her packed schedule. My grandson, bright and full of life, grows faster than I can keep up. My time's running short, not enough to squeeze into their whirlwind lives. So I sit here, listening to the wind whistle through creaky windows, sipping cold coffee, trying not to let loneliness sink too deep. Funny, isn't it? You raise kids to stand tall, to spread their wings, and they fly off, building lives so full there's no room left for you. I twirl my mug, my mind drifting back to a harsh winter when Tommy was 9. My arthritic fingers tighten, the ache blending with memories flooding in. Maybe it's the season. November always stirs what you thought was buried. A truck rumbles past. I barely notice. I'm gone, not on wheels, but on flickering reels of memory, pulling me back to those cold, hard days. I close my eyes and let them take me. I was 35 that winter. It started quiet, like the hush before a storm. First, a few late bills. Then folks stopped coming to our little hardware store. Word spread about bigger, cheaper shops sprouting up on Main Street. We hung on, but one freezing morning, my husband, James, packed his ledgers into an old suitcase. He'd found work 2 states south at a cousin's shipping yard. Temporary, he said. He'd send money. He'd bring me and Tommy down once things settled. I smiled, not out of joy. What else could I do? I packed him a ham sandwich for the road. Standing on the porch, waving as he drove off in early snow, something in me broke, silent as the falling flakes. Then it was just me and Tommy, 9 years old, missing a front tooth, still clutching his ratty teddy bear at night, though he swore he was grown. We scraped by, sold our nicest dining set. I took in sewing, cleaned houses, any odd job that paid. Tommy kept going to school, his childish dreams stuffed in a frayed backpack. Soon, James called. I still feel that bone-chilling night, barefoot, lifting the wall phone. His voice was rough, worn, like his youth had burned out in grueling work. "Got a job," he said, breath mixing with wind on the line. "At the docks, hauling cargo." I bit my lip, a spark of hope flaring. A job meant he could send money, ease the weight on me and Tommy, even a little. But his tone shifted, sharp, cold, like a blade. "I need Tommy down here." I froze, gripping the receiver. "He can help. He's young, but quick. Waiting to send money takes too long," he said, blunt and final. "Best thing is to bring him down." I stared at the peeling wallpaper, hands shaking. "But he's still in school," I said, almost pleading. He cut me off. "He needs to learn work early. School doesn't teach what's real. He's got to grow up." I said nothing more. Didn't need to. Arguing was pointless. My hand fell, the receiver dangling. Something in me collapsed, quiet as snow. Outside, wind howled through loose window boards, sharp and bitter. I sat on Tommy's bed, where he slept, small hands clutching his bear. His hair was mussed, breath soft and steady. I brushed his forehead, throat tight. Tomorrow, he'd stop being a carefree kid. Tomorrow, I'd take him to the bus station. Tomorrow, I'd send a 9-year-old, still too small to grow, on a journey no child should face. Next morning, I packed Tommy's clothes into an old suitcase, its zipper grinding with each tug. I tucked his worn bear in a corner, not because he'd admit he needed it, but because I knew some nights he would. Tommy stood by the door, eyes dry. He didn't cry. Neither did I. Maybe we both knew tears would break us. The sky was gray, the wind biting as we walked the dirt road to the bus stop. Tommy's sneakers kicked up dust. At the station, I knelt to tie his laces. His small hand rested on my shoulder, trembling slightly. "It's just for a bit, right, Mom?" he asked, voice thin as a whisper. I swallowed hard, nodding. "Yeah, just for a while. You'll be back." The old bus growled to a stop. I hugged his shoulders one last time. "Be strong, Tommy," I whispered. He looked up, flashing a gap-toothed smile. It tore my heart. "I'm strong, Mom," he said, then climbed aboard. The bus lurched forward, kicking up dust. I stood rooted, clutching the empty suitcase strap. That was the first time I felt the wind cut through my heart. The house was just me now. Mornings I cooked breakfast for 2 out of habit, then quietly put half away. Nights I left the porch light on longer than needed, as if he might walk through the door. He didn't. The first week, a letter came. Tommy scrawled words, short and simple. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm okay. I'll grow up fast." I read it over and over, memorizing every comma, every smudged ink mark. Each night, I spread the letter on the kitchen table, stared, then dragged myself to bed. 3 months later, word came that the shop where Tommy worked had shut down. They said he lost his job. My heart lifted a fraction. Did it mean my boy could come home? That night, I lit a candle by the kitchen window, whispering prayers and plans. I'd get Tommy a light job at the town post office. Days working, nights studying. There was still time for a 9-year-old to be a kid, right? I scraped together enough for a long-distance call. The line crackled, and James's voice came through, flat and hard. "No, I've got him another place." I gripped the table, voice shaking. "But he's only 9. 9? So what? Our kid needs to grow up, get real." I went silent. My head dropped to the table. The phone's cold beep ended it. Just me, sitting, drowning in heavy, thick sadness. Tommy's new job was at a garage on the city's edge, a place thick with oil fumes, burnt rubber, and clanging metal. My boy, barely taller than a car hood, was tasked with mopping floors, picking up stray bolts, and fetching coffee for mechanics. He wore oversized clothes, hands stained with grease, hair matted in clumps. Days, he moved like a shadow. Nights, he curled up on a creaky cot in a storage corner. No warm blanket, no good night. Just the roar of highway trucks and cold neon light sliding across the ceiling. Every month, Tommy sent a letter. His handwriting shrank, his words grew sparse. "I'm okay, Mom. Learn to change spark plugs." Today, the boss let me hammer a dent, heavy but fun. Not a single complaint, not a hint of blame. But I saw the shaky ink, traces of nights he fell asleep at a wooden table. Once, I sent him a scarf I knitted all winter. A month later, his letter came. "Thanks, Mom. It's warm, but it's heating up here." I smiled through stinging tears. A year later, Tommy got 3 days to come home. I waited at the end of the road. When the old bus stopped, I almost didn't recognize him. He stepped off, taller, tanned, shoulders heavy like he carried the world. He slung a torn backpack over one shoulder and walked to me, slow. I opened my arms, ready to hug him like before, but he just gave a tired smile and nodded. "I'm back, Mom." We walked home, our shadows long and silent on the dusty road. Those 3 days passed like a dream. We ate stew and mashed potatoes, his old favorite. Tommy talked about fixing engines, cleaning shops, earning extra from his boss. I listened, smiled, while my heart clenched. On the 3rd day, it rained. As I walked him to the bus, I slipped a bag of homemade cookies into his hand. He grinned. "Keep these, Mom. I won't have time to eat." I grabbed his hand, wanting to scream, "Stay, Tommy, don't go." But I just shook my head, pretending it was nothing. The bus swallowed him again, taking him away. I stood on the road, rain stinging my face, cold to the bone. With Tommy gone, the house felt hollow. I woke alone, brewed coffee alone, ate leftovers alone. Every corner seemed bigger. The kitchen table stretched. The closet gaped. Even the wind through the cracks sounded lonelier. Days I took odd jobs, cleaning, sewing, anything for a few bucks. No time for volunteering like city ladies. Here, poor meant busy. Busy enough to breathe in a hurry. Nights, I sat by the window, knitting dishcloths, as if I could stitch the hole in my chest. Sometimes Tommy called, short calls, under a minute. "You okay, Mom?" "Yeah, I'm fine. You?" "Good, but busy. Gotta deliver early with the boss tomorrow." Sometimes I heard air compressors roaring behind him. Other times, someone yelling. Tommy laughed it off. "It's fine, Mom. I'm used to it." Before I could ask more, the line cut. I sat staring at the old phone. Wanted to call back. Knew it wouldn't change a thing. He was busy living. I was busy missing him. One October afternoon, a new letter came. The envelope was smudged with postmarks, Tommy's scrawl jagged. "Change jobs, Mom. Bigger garage. New boss is decent. Learning a lot." I held the letter, reading it over. Each word stuck to my heart. Happy for him, worried for him. Bigger meant more pressure, harder work, tougher days. I didn't write much back. Just a short note with some hard candies. "Stay strong, son. Don't rush. I'm always waiting." That winter, I saw him, the man I'd built this house with. He stood at the door in a frayed coat, cap pulled low. It took a second to recognize him. "Why are you here?" I asked. He looked up, eyes tired. "Just passing through. Wanted to see if you're okay." We sat across from each other in the old kitchen. Coffee went cold on the table. He rambled about failed years, dead-end jobs. I listened. Didn't blame, didn't forgive. Time had worn anger down, leaving only a cold, empty quiet. That Christmas, I set up a small tree from dry branches picked in the field, hung old ribbons and paper stars I cut. No twinkling lights, no gifts, just a flickering candle and wind howling outside. I sat knitting gray socks for Tommy. Each stitch was a breath I held for this empty winter. Near midnight, the phone rang. "Tommy. Merry Christmas, Mom. Can't make it home, but I miss you tons." I smiled, throat tight. "Miss you too, son." After, I sat, watching the candle burn out. Missing him settled over the room like a thin layer of snow. Spring came and Tommy sent a photo. He stood before a shiny truck in a gray mechanic's uniform, grinning under the sun. His face was smudged with grease. Hair stood up in the wind. Sleeves rolled high, showing tanned, strong arms. Behind him, a new sign, "Johnson's Garage. Tommy Collins, lead technician." I held the photo and cried, not from sadness, because the boy I'd carried was now standing tall in the wide world. One day, rain fell from morning to night. I pulled a chair to the porch, wrapped in a thick sweater, listening to the patter on the tin roof. Didn't expect visitors, didn't wait for calls. Just sat, with the rain, with memories like water streaks on the window. I brewed hot cocoa, smiled to myself, told myself, it's okay, you're fine, still here, still remembering. One early summer evening, Tommy called. Mom, next month I've got a work trip, not far from home. I'll stop by. I gripped the phone, heart leaping. All right, I'll wait. Just 3 words, but I knew I'd leave the porch light on all night, like waiting for a warm breeze to blow through my life. I carried on with quiet days, planted small flower pots out front, sewed dresses for young brides in town, spent afternoons sipping coffee, nibbling stale cookies, watching the sun set red behind the trees. No rush, no expectations. Sometimes I let my mind drift to the past, childish laughter in my ears, a small hand tugging my apron, a young mother pouring everything into her son's dreams. July came with hot, dry winds, warming the porch bricks. I swept the yard each morning, the old broom scratching the leaf-strewn concrete. Afternoons, I sat under the awning, watching the dusty red road shimmer in the sun, tracking every passing car. None stopped, but I wasn't sad. I was waiting, waiting for Tommy, his small promise of a visit tucked safe in my heart through the days. I cleaned more than usual, washed the old tablecloth, hung it in the sun, dusted the bookshelves, fixed the family photo frame on the mantel, Tommy as a kid, smiling, cheeks muddy. Each night, I ironed my best dress, a pale blue one I wore for his first birthday. Didn't know if I'd wear it, didn't know if he'd stay long or just pass through, but I kept on, kept preparing, kept hoping. It was the only way this old heart held on to something fragile. The day he came, I woke before dawn, brewed a pot of coffee, baked a batch of butter cookies, his childhood favorite, set a small vase of wildflowers by the window. Then I sat, waited, like the world was just me, my old armchair, and the golden glow of a blazing summer morning. Near noon, a low engine hum rose from the dusty red road. I pushed up on my knees, stood, and stepped to the porch. Sunlight blurred my eyes, but I saw an old green truck rolling closer. The door swung open, and Tommy stepped out. He stood in the scorching heat, shirt soaked with sweat, hair mussed from the long drive. Taller, tanned, shoulders broad as a barn. But to me, he was still that boy, hands greasy, grinning under this old porch. I stepped down 3 steps, throat tight. Tommy smiled, simple and true. Mom. One word, and it melted every worry, every empty month, every silent night in this house into the warm summer air. I opened my arms, he stepped forward. We hugged tight, so tight. I smelled sun, wind, sweat on his shirt, the scent of hard days, of family, of home. I patted his back, he laughed, hugging me tighter. You holdin' up, Mom? House hasn't changed, he said, eyes scanning the little garden. I smiled. I'm fine, house is the same. You? He scratched his head, chuckling. All right, drove since dawn, so I'm beat. I pulled him inside. The door opened, and the buttery scent of fresh cookies mingled with the summer heat. Tommy raised a brow. Mom, still baking? I nodded, calm. Yep, gotta have something for important guests. He laughed, a bright, clear sound like wind chimes. We sat at the table. I poured coffee. He took a sip, wincing. Burns my tongue, Mom. I laughed. Hot's how it's good. He grinned, nodding. Yeah, you're right. It's good. Later, when the cookies were half gone and coffee cups held just dregs, Tommy leaned back, sighing. Been a while since I sat like this. I propped my chin, looking at him. Then stay longer next time. He smiled, but his eyes flickered with unease. Just got 2 days, Mom. I paused, then smiled. That's enough. Because I knew, in the busy world out there, him remembering to come back, even for 2 days, was enough to carry me another year. The first day, Tommy barely left the house. He shed his button-up, wearing an old white tee, bending in the yard, pruning flower pots I'd planted last season. I sat on the porch, knitting a new scarf, eyes fixed on his lean, lively frame. "This plant's waterlogged," he muttered, digging. "Yeah, figured," I said, voice soft, like it was the smallest thing in the world. He chuckled. "Gotta pull it, swap the soil, else it'll wilt." I looked up. His words seemed to mean more than a plant. I just smiled, quiet. At dusk, I made stew, mashed potatoes, green beans, his favorite. We ate under the old kitchen's yellow light, peeling paint on the walls, ceiling fan creaking above. Tommy shoveled food, sharing stories of the garage, tales of lazy young mechanics, a tough but fair new boss. He waved his spoon, splattering gravy. I didn't interrupt, just listened, soaking in every word. That night, he slept in his old room, a tiny space, just enough for a narrow bed and wobbly desk. I brought an extra blanket. Passing by, I saw him sprawled, one arm over his forehead, breaths steady. I stood at the door a moment, heart light as air. Next morning, he was up early, laced his sneakers, zipped his jacket. I packed him a box of cookies, a water bottle, some oranges, and a tube of muscle rub. "Mom, you act like I'm off to war," he laughed, stuffing it all in his backpack. I shook my head. "Just want you to have something for the road." He bent to tie his shoes, clumsy like when he was little. I sat on the porch, watching him prep, a dull ache creeping in my chest. Not gone yet, and I missed him. Not out the door, and the house felt empty. Tommy stood, adjusted his pack, then hesitated before hugging me. "I'm off, Mom." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "Yeah, travel safe, son." He hugged me quick, then turned. His broad back vanished through the old gate. I sat on the steps, clutching cold coffee, something in me shattering too fast to catch. After Tommy left, the house sank back into its old quiet. I woke early, still brewing 2 coffees, one for me, one just there. Staring at the second cup, I felt him lingering somehow. Some mornings, I sat hours by cold coffee, unmoving, just listening to wind through the door, birds tapping the tin roof, the clock ticking through endless silences. Noons, I went to the backyard, where Tommy had pruned the flower pots, the little garden speckled with sun. The plants he'd pulled now had fresh soil, green shoots peeking through soft brown earth. I knelt, hands shaky, plucking stray weeds. A breeze carried the scent of sun, damp soil, faint wildflowers, a smell that took me back to when I held Tommy, teaching him to walk in this very yard. Time moves too fast. You turn, and a lifetime slips through your fingers. Evenings, I sat alone at the kitchen table. Cold food with a splash of soy sauce, a bit of stew from Tommy's visit. Each bite stuck in my throat, not because the food was bland, not because it was cold, because across the table, Tommy's chair sat empty. The yellow lamp stretched my shadow long on the tiles. The familiar kitchen felt like a vast void. Sometimes the phone rang, a strange number. I'd grab it, heart pounding, but usually just ads or wrong numbers. I set the receiver down gently, sitting still for ages. Waiting wasn't the hard part. The hard part was living with the weight without letting it swallow you. Each night, I lit a small candle by the window, not to guide Tommy home, just a habit, a reminder. I'm here, son, still waiting, always waiting. Not loud, not needing promises, just here, steady as the sky, the wind, the candles burning quietly through long, watchful nights. Some days, the sky's clear as glass. Golden sun spills over the porch, across old bricks speckled with moss, onto the armchair where I sit each afternoon. A soft breeze hums through the oak out front like a forgotten song. Everything's beautiful, heartbreakingly so. But I just sit, quiet, carrying a wound no one sees. This morning, cleaning an old cabinet, I found a torn notebook. Flipping it open, Tommy's childish scrawl danced across the page. My dream. Someday I'll have a big auto shop and buy Mom a huge house with a flower garden. Messy letters, uneven, scribbled with excitement. I smiled. The smile sank into missing him. He'd half kept that promise. The house and garden, he forgot. Or maybe he thought I didn't need more than knowing he was safe. I folded the notebook, smoothing its faded cover. Some childhood dreams are like soap bubbles, shimmering in the sun, then popping silently as you grow. No one forgets on purpose. Life's just too busy. Busy enough to shelve what once set your heart racing. That afternoon, rain came sudden. I sat inside, listening to it drum the tin roof, thinking of days gone by. Back then, in rain, Tommy would crash into my arms, hair soaked, smelling of damp earth and kid soap. "Mom, I caught a frog," he'd yell, showing off, eyes sparkling. I'd fake a scream. "Get that thing outside, I'm scared." We'd laugh till we couldn't breathe, huddled on the little porch, rain and wind all around. Now, when rain falls, I still listen, still smile, but my heart's empty. No kid runs to me anymore. Just me and memories, knocking softly at a heart learning to stay quiet. Night falls. I light another candle by the window. Its flame flickers, casting faint shadows on the wall. I sit, holding the sweater Tommy left last time. Simple, crew neck, soft and thin. I press it to my cheek, like I can still hear his steady, warm heartbeat. It's enough, just enough for another day. That night, past midnight, the phone rang. A sharp, short sound, slicing the dark quiet. I jolted awake, fumbling for the receiver. "Mom?" Tommy's hoarse voice came through. I sat up, heart racing. "I'm here, son. What's wrong?" Silence on the line, just heavy breathing, mixed with faint city noise. Then his voice, small. "I'm so tired today." I gripped the receiver like I was holding him. "Rest, son, sleep, and tomorrow will be better." More silence, a sigh. Then Tommy talked, jumbled, no order, bits of his day. Broken machines, so he worked double. A new guy messed up, so he fixed it all. The boss yelled till late, and he'd just cleaned up. I listened, nodded, murmured, though he couldn't see. Listened and did nothing else. Sometimes all someone needs is for you to hear them. After a while, his voice softened like a confession. "Mom, I miss home so much." Those words cut through me like a knife. I clutched the sweater on my lap, swallowing tears, and said softly, "I miss you too." We sat there, each on our end of the line, saying nothing more, letting quiet breaths bridge the distance between us. When the clock struck 1, Tommy mumbled, half asleep, "Gonna crash, Mom." "Sleep well, son." The line cut. I sat, cold receiver in hand. Outside, the afternoon rain had stopped. Only the rich scent of wet earth slipped through the window crack. I sat a long time, like if I moved, the fragile thread tying me to Tommy would snap. That night, I didn't sleep again. I took paper and pen, writing to him. "Dear son, wherever you are, however busy life gets, there's always a little house with a light on, waiting for you. I'm so, so proud of you. But I hope sometimes you'll let yourself be soft. Rest when you're tired. Cry when you're sad. Come home when you miss it. You don't have to carry it all alone." I folded the letter, slipping a dried daisy inside. Come morning, I'd mail it. sending it like a piece of my heart to the far-off place where my son, now a man, stood alone in life's rush. Next morning, I tucked the letter into a cream envelope yellowed with age. I walked to the town post office, old shoes scuffing the sun-dappled sidewalk. The young clerk took it, stamped it, asked, "Express, ma'am?" I shook my head, smiling. No rush, just needs to get there. Some things don't need haste. Some feelings, sent quietly, find their way home. Leaving the post office, I stopped by the market, bought a small bunch of daisies. The stall ladies grinned. "Buying lots of flowers lately, huh?" I just smiled, said nothing. They didn't know I set each bloom on the table by Tommy's old photo. A bit of color for the empty house, a small joy for each passing day. Days followed, and I waited. Mornings, I brewed a small coffee pot, spread the calendar on the table, marked each day, waited for a reply letter, a surprise call, a knock one afternoon. Nothing came. Afternoons, I sat on the porch, watching sun flood the road. Neighborhood kids biked by, shirts flapping, bikes rattling. One paused, waving. "Hey, Miss Charlotte." I smiled, waved back. They were free as little breezes. Me like an old tree, standing still in summer heat, patiently waiting for a distant rain. One evening, cleaning an old drawer, I found a scrap Tommy wrote at 6 or 7. "Mom, I'll grow up fast and take you everywhere." Sloppy letters, ink smudged from holding the pen wrong. I laughed. Then suddenly tears came, not from sadness, just missing him. Some misses don't tear you apart. They're like underground streams, seeping into every breath, every half-awake night. I pressed the scrap into an old Bible, at the page saying, "To everything there is a season." Someday, I told myself, he'll keep that promise. Someday, when life stops swallowing him. Night fell. I turned off the lights, left just the porch glow, its faint light filtering through lace curtains. Outside, wind rustled the trees. I lay still, listening, not hoping for the phone, not waiting for a knock, just listening, letting my heart drift with the breeze, back to days when Tommy was small, clinging to me through every stormy night. That year, autumn came late, like it hesitated to stir a life already too still. Mornings, fog lingered over the field behind the house, hazy as an unwashed window. I brewed coffee, carried it to the porch, sat watching fog melt into sunlight. Some days I kept busy with chores, patched a torn jacket sleeve, scrubbed stains off old glasses, planted a row of lettuce by the crooked fence. No one told me to, no one rushed me, just me, moving slow through long, dry days like a parched stream. The town buzzed, prepping for the fall fair. Neighbors chattered, setting up stalls, hanging flags, selling pies, pumpkins, handmade quilts. Kids ran wild on the grass, faces flushed. Everyone had their hustle. I wandered the booths, hands clutching a bag of hot roasted chestnuts, their warmth seeping into my cracked hands. At the last stall, they sold rough wooden picture frames. I lingered longest, picked a small, plain, empty one, bought it, not for anyone's photo, just to set on the table, a reminder, there's still space to wait. That night, I hung the empty frame on the living room windowsill. A soft breeze swayed the curtains. Outside, the porch light lit scattered fall leaves. I sat in the creeping cold, hearing crickets chirp in the grass. A simple sound, soothing. Waiting isn't always restless. Loving isn't always needing an answer right away. Sometimes just holding a space, patient and quiet, is a way to love. Like that wooden frame, bare, rough, but waiting for a picture that may never come. Before bed, I opened an old journal. On the first page, I wrote one line, hand shaky but careful. "As long as Tommy's out there, walking under this sky, I've got reason enough to keep waiting." A crescent moon peeked through the tree outside. Its pale light spread over the old roof, calm and aching. I pulled the blanket high, closed my eyes, letting fragile dreams, however brief, carry me back to warm days when my son's laughter rang like spring wind. Years pile up, like thin dust coating this house's bricks. Tommy's grown, no longer the shy boy clutching a teddy bear or the young man biking through cold winds, but a real man. Hands once tiny, now calloused from grease and work. Shoulders once small, now broad enough to carry a dream. One early spring day, he came home, dangling a shiny new key, eyes sparkling. "Mom, I opened my own shop." I stood frozen, could only reach, trembling, to touch the key, cold, heavy, like the whole sky in my palm. Tommy said he'd rented a small, rundown lot at town's edge, painted the walls himself, fixed broken doors, borrowed old tools from friends, scraped every penny for equipment. "Not fancy, Mom," he grinned, eyes bright, "but it's mine." His. A little garage, tin walls weathered by sun and rain, a hand-painted sign, Tommy's Auto Repair. The fruit of hard days. The end of every dream that boy held tight in his young heart. I went with him, through sun-scorched fields, down the red dirt road where his garage stood proud, like a quiet vow. "Look, Mom," Tommy said, chest puffed with pride. "This is where we'll make it." I stood at the garage door, gazing at the rough wooden sign, sunlight slipping through cracks, and felt something bloom in me. Tommy was truly grown, no longer the boy nodding to orders. He'd stepped into life and built a place to stand tall. Not long after the garage opened, Tommy met Anna, a petite woman, brown hair tied back, dimples, and a smile warm as April sun. They met at a coffee shop near the garage, where Anna worked part-time to pay for school. Tommy brought her home one Sunday afternoon. I still remember. I wore my best dress, hands fumbling to polish plates, heart racing like I was 18. Anna stepped in, nodding politely. "Hello, ma'am." I looked at her, small but eyes holding a gentle strength. One glance and I knew this woman would be Tommy's steady partner. Time flowed fast as a spring creek. Soon, Tommy and Anna chose to build a life together. No big wedding, just a small backyard party. Makeshift tables, yellow string lights looped through branches, the smell of baked bread. Anna wore a simple white dress. Tommy stood in an off-the-rack suit, waiting under the lights, holding a bunch of wild daisies. As the pastor spoke blessings, a breeze lifted Anna's dress, and Tommy, my little boy once, bent to kiss her hand with reverence. I sat quiet under a tree, tears falling, not from sadness, but joy. The son I'd carried had found someone to walk life's road with. Then Joey came, a baby who brought back laughter to this house. Joey toddled through the garage, giggling, hands greasy like his dad's once were. Tommy was busy, Anna was busy. Joey grew like a weed. Each spun like wheels in life's rush, and me, I sat on the porch, knitting, watching Joey's quick steps from afar. I wasn't their world center anymore, just a wildflower by the road, blooming quietly, loving silently, not needing notice. And I learned to smile at that, because real love isn't pulling people close. It's waiting, steady and quiet, so when they need you, they can turn back and you're still there. The sun's setting. I sit with Tommy on the porch, each holding a cold coffee. Early fall wind teases the gray strands on my forehead. Tommy's quiet a long while, then speaks. "Mom," he hesitates, choosing words slow, careful. "When I was a kid, I wondered why you let me go so far." I freeze, my hands on the mug stop trembling. He goes on, "But growing up, I got it." He sighs, like shedding a weight. "Dad told me once, back at the old garage, he sat on the steps, smoking, and said, 'I failed, but you can't. You gotta learn to wake early, get used to cold, hunger, orders, so one day you can own your life. I turn to him. Sunlight slants through the awning, painting a faint glow on his tanned cheek. Tommy smiles, no bitterness. Back then, I didn't get it. Just felt tired, missed you till it hurt. But now, I know without those years, I wouldn't have this shop, Anna, Joey. I purse my lips. A quiet wave washes through me. Tommy meets my eyes, his gaze deep and steady. Dad, you both just wanted me to have a better life, right? I smile, a light smile, no longer better, no longer heavy. Yeah, just each loved you in our clumsy way. Wind sweeps through, carrying late sun and dry grass. In that deep stillness, I feel it. Old wounds, scarred and worn, finally closing. All that's left is the gentlest thing, forgiveness. It was a sweltering day. Joey, the kid, forgot his final project. Right before the deadline, he ran home, face smudged, frantically digging through papers. Anna, drained from a long day at the county courthouse, walked in, saw books and notes strewn across the table, Joey rummaging in the mess. Her voice rose, not cruel, just tired and worried. "Joey, what were you doing all day? Didn't Grandma remind you?" I was in the kitchen, hearing every word. My hands, lifting a plate, froze midair. Just one line. Not harsh, not mean, but it stung. A pinprick to my softest part. I smiled, set the plate down quietly. Didn't blame Anna, didn't resent Joey. Just knew. I wasn't this house's heart anymore. No one's fault, just the simple truth. I'd grown old. That night, after dinner, Anna came to me, hesitant. "Mom, I spoke out of turn earlier. I'm sorry. I was just worried for Joey." I patted her hand, smiled gently. "I get it. Every mom worries for her kid." Then I stood, cleared dishes like always. No one said more, just the sound of water in the sink and our slow, quiet heartbeats stretching into the cool dark. It was drizzling. I sat by the window, a half-knit scarf on my lap. Tommy was outside with Anna, patching the awning. Joey, now a teen, loped through the yard, legs long like a colt. I watched him, smiling to myself. My little house was getting fuller, not with stuff, but with kids, now grown. That evening, after cleanup, I sat with Tommy, pouring him coffee. Waiting for him to sip, I spoke slow. "Son," I paused, then went on. "I'm thinking maybe I should move in with your dad." Tommy's head snapped up, shocked. "Mom, you sure?" I smiled faintly. "Yeah, your dad's old. Living alone's tough. Joey's growing. You and Anna need space. I'll move to the house nearby, look after him. Works for everyone." Tommy went quiet a long time. His eyes shimmered with something. Love, gratitude, a knot he couldn't name. He reached out, his big, rough hand taking my small, wrinkled one. "Mom, I'll always need you. Wherever you are, that's home." I squeezed his hand, smiled. "I know, but when you're old, you choose where you're needed most. No demands, no burdens, just there." The kitchen's yellow light stretched our shadows long on the old tiles. For the first time in years, my heart had no empty corners. Just one thing, full, enough. The story seemed to settle into quiet days. Neighbors stopped by, squeezed my hand, smiled. "Congrats, Charlotte. You must be at peace now." I smiled back, nodded, told myself, yeah, maybe so. Then, one afternoon, with the sun still hanging high, everything shifted. I was in the yard, pulling weeds, when a car screeched to a stop at the gate. I looked up, Anna, my daughter-in-law, tossing bags into the trunk, face tight with anger. Joey stood there, clutching a backpack, eyes red. Without thinking, I wiped my hands on my shirt, hurrying over. "Anna, what's going on?" My voice cracked, a hint of panic. She didn't answer, didn't even look at me. When I reached to touch her slim arm, she brushed me off, gently, not rough, but enough to make me stop. I stood there, an old mother, helpless, clueless about what just happened. No one explained. No one gave me a second to breathe. Anna climbed into the car. Joey slipped into the back, door slamming. The engine roared, and they sped off, leaving me alone in the dusty red yard, afternoon light patchy like an old quilt. I'm nearly 70, too old to chase anyone, too tired to argue or cling. I just stood, hands limp, eyes blank. It felt like something in me was cracking, slow and sure. Not loud, not shattering, just steady, like a fissure creeping through an old wall. I turned back to the house. Too quiet. Dinner sat ready on the stove, still steaming. Chicken stew, fresh bread. The table was set, cloth smooth, yellow lamp glowing warm. Everything was there, except people. I sat at the wooden table, still in my apron. Didn't cry, didn't get mad, just sat, feeling an empty ache in my chest, nameless. No book teaches you what to do in moments like this. No guide tells an old mother how to face sudden cracks like these. I just sat, quiet, waiting for an explanation, a call, a sign to understand what was happening to my family. But that night, the phone stayed silent, just the ceiling fan's creak and the wind rustling the yard. Late evening, when streetlights flicked on, I heard a car pull slow into the yard. Tommy was back. I dropped my cold coffee, sprang up, ran to the door, heart pounding like I might miss something vital. He stepped out, stumbling, reeking of liquor in the heavy night air. His tall frame swayed under the dim porch light. I froze, feeling like I was seeing a stranger in my son's shape. "Son?" I called, voice shaky. "What's wrong, Tommy? We've been worried." "Anna, she's gone. And you? Why like this?" He didn't answer, just shuffled in, heavy steps, and collapsed onto a mattress in the corner, a dull thud like the world fell on him. I followed, kneeling beside him, hands trembling on his shoulder. He didn't push me away, but he didn't look at me. The house sank into thick, stifling silence. I sat by the mattress, watching Tommy, the boy I'd carried, taught to walk, led through storms, lying there, eyes wide, gaze cloudy and lost. He didn't cry, didn't speak, just breathed hard, each breath a burden. A fear I'd never known rose in me, not for the liquor, not for Anna leaving, but because, for the first time, I saw Tommy, my strong, stubborn son, broken. "Tommy," I said softly, "what's happened? Tell me." He closed his eyes, turned to the wall, silent, just one sigh, like wind over barren fields. I sat there, hand light on his curled back, afraid if I let go, he'd vanish into the dark. In the dim light, I whispered to myself, "It's okay. I'm here. I'll wait. When you're ready to talk, I'll listen." Outside, night wind slipped through the door, icy. I pulled an old blanket over him, sat still, didn't ask more, didn't push, just stayed beside a grown man with a heart broken like a lost child's. And I knew, tonight, no one in this house would sleep. Days passed. The little house kept its calm, like nothing had happened. But I knew, beneath that stillness, something was breaking, piece by piece. Anna didn't return. Joey didn't call or text. I couldn't take it anymore. I dialed Anna secretly. The line connected fast. Her voice came, polite, proper, but cold as a stranger's. "Hello, ma'am. Yes, we're fine. Yes, thank you. Nothing more, nothing less. Short, even answers, like she was just being courteous. I hung up, sat there, numb, told myself, at least she answered. At least they haven't cut me off completely. But deep down, a quiet unease gnawed at me. One morning, watering daisies out front, the mail truck stopped at the gate. A young carrier stepped out, holding a cream envelope. "Letter for Charlotte's place," he said, handing it over. I started forward, but Tommy bolted from the house, faster than me. "I'll take it," he said, too quick, voice off. His big hand snatched the envelope, stuffing it into his jacket. I stood stunned. A flash of unease crossed his eyes before he looked away, muttering, "Just junk, Mom, no big deal." His voice shook, just a bit, but I caught it. I'm nearly 70, raised him from a baby. I know every blink, every tone shift. I went inside, leaning on the old kitchen table, watching his clumsy shadow hide the envelope in a drawer, locking it tight. Doubt crept in, cold as water seeping through a wet sleeve. What was that letter? Who sent it? And why was my son, the boy who never hid a thing from me, so rattled? Wind blew in from the fields. I pulled my shawl tighter, but it didn't chase the chill sinking into my bones. I didn't ask about the letter that day, just shrank into the long, dragging days after. Tommy was silent. Meals were plain. His steps in the house heavier than before. Then one noon, while Tommy was out fixing the awning, exhausted, I crept to the drawer where he'd hidden the envelope. I'm not proud of it, but sometimes love doesn't let you sit still and wait. My hands shook as I pulled out the envelope. Thin, faded cream with Anna's familiar small handwriting. I opened it. Just a few lines, ink smudged in spots, like written in haste or through tears. "Tommy, I'm sorry for leaving like that. I can't stay, not with all the doubt and pain eating at me. That day, I saw you taking a young woman into that motel in town. I don't know who she was, and I don't want to know. I just know I trusted you, loved you with everything I had, and now I feel foolish for not listening to my parents, who warned marrying a drifter like you would only bring hurt. What have you been hiding from me all this time, Tommy? I need time. I need space to find myself again. Don't look for me. Don't explain. If we're meant to be, I'll come back. If not, live honestly, at least for your conscience." I held the thin paper, heavy as 1,000 stones. I sat on the bed. The house was dead quiet, just the clock ticking, stabbing my heartbeat. Tommy, the boy I'd poured my life into loving, had stumbled. Not just in life, but with those who loved him most. I folded the letter, slipped it back into the envelope, careful, like tucking away a scar. When Tommy came in, hair messy, shirt dusted with sawdust, I just looked at him, saying nothing. He didn't look at me. We passed each other, silent, like two ships lost in fog. A slow sadness burned in me, not anger, not blame. The sadness of a mother knowing some storms, no matter how you shield, your child must face alone, must feel the cold. And sometimes love is only enough to sit there, waiting, praying they're strong enough to find their way back to themselves. Days later, Tommy drifted through the house like a shadow. Mornings, he went to the garage. Evenings, he picked at food, then crashed on the mattress. No smiles, no words, no questions about Anna or Joey. I didn't push. Some wounds bleed worse when prodded. I just kept on, cleaning, tending flowers, cooking, like all was normal, though my heart broke. That afternoon, the sky gray, cold wind blew in from the fields. I'd just watered the daisies when a strange car stopped at the gate. The door opened and a young woman stepped out. Mid-20s maybe, dyed brown hair, short skirt, high heels. Light makeup, eyes nervous, twitchy. I stood on the porch, still holding the watering can, watching her hesitate toward the gate. As she neared, I stepped out slow, stopping at the old wooden fence. I looked her in the eye, the steady gaze of a mother who's seen life's every turn. "Who you lookin' for?" I asked, voice calm but firm. "We don't know anyone like you here." She fidgeted, glancing around, then stammered, I'm looking for Tommy. I need to talk to him." I gripped the can tighter. A cold shock ran through me. I looked her over, head to toe, and I knew. Didn't need spelling out. I breathed slow, then said, voice steady, like I was still weighing her words. "Tommy's busy. Got something to say? Leave a message. This house doesn't take strangers." She bit her lip, clutching her purse strap. For a moment, she opened her mouth like she'd say more. But then she met my eyes, steady, not angry, just resolute, and faltered, looking down. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I'll go." She turned fast, hurrying back to her car, heels clicking on the dirt. I stood, quiet, watching the strange car speed off, vanishing at the dusty bend. I didn't sigh in relief, didn't feel lighter, just empty, like the house with wind blowing through, door left open. I went inside, locked the creaky gate. The door handle was cold. In the kitchen, the fire still burned, stew simmering low. And I told myself, no matter what, even if tears flow backward, I'll protect this family with all I have left. That night, Tommy came home late. His shirt was soaked with sweat and oil, hands greasy, steps heavy, like he dragged the whole garage. I was in the kitchen, pretending to knit a half-done piece, yellow lamplight pooling on the scratched wooden table. Tommy paused at the door. He looked at me. I looked at him. Something in his eyes, a flicker, like a hunch, a worry he couldn't name. I cleared my throat, voice hoarse from the cold. "Someone came looking for you this afternoon." He froze, eyes wide, like a kid caught hiding a mistake. I didn't let my gaze waver. The next words came slow, each clear. "A young woman came to the gate, said she needed to see you." Tommy didn't answer right away. He stepped in, kicked his muddy boots aside, and sat across from me. A long silence stretched. The old wooden clock ticked louder than usual. Finally he spoke, voice low and murky, like water seeping through stone. "Mom, you met her?" I nodded. He bowed his head, hands clasped tight, knuckles white. I asked, voice just as low, "Got anything to tell me?" He stayed silent, long, just the wind rattling the awning outside. Then he muttered, voice breaking, "I'm sorry, Mom." One sentence, no explanation, no excuses, just an apology, hoarse, pulled from his core. I looked at my grown son, lean, shoulders heavy, and knew he was hurting in silence. I sighed, set the knitting down, looked straight at him. "Did you do wrong by Anna?" He pressed his lips tight, his face twisted, like swallowing a bitter truth. He didn't answer, just bowed his head lower. I didn't need an answer. Every mother knows. In that bowed head, in that silence, was all he couldn't say. I closed my eyes a moment, my heart torn so many times by poverty, parting, longing, cracked again. But then I opened my eyes, voice firm. "I don't need every detail, just need you to know what you're doing." Tommy looked up. His eyes were red, wet, but he held back tears. I stood, hands shaky, but voice steady. "I'm old, Tommy. No strength left to sit here sorting right from wrong. I just hope, if there's anything left for Anna, for Joey, you face your mistakes, fix them. Don't let anyone else carry that weight. I turned, walked to the kitchen, back bent, each step heavy, like my feet stuck to the cold floor. Behind me, Tommy sat, alone, adrift, helpless. And that night, the little house sank into silence, long and deep. Not the silence of waiting anymore, the silence of hearts facing their own shadows. 2 days later, while I swept the yard, Tommy came to me, sleeves rolled high, face weathered by sun and wind, eyes heavier than usual. He sat on the porch steps, quiet a long while, then looked at me. "Mom," his voice was rough, "I want to tell you everything." I set the broom aside, sat beside him, waiting patiently. Tommy sighed, then started, slow, like untying knots in his chest. "That day, I didn't do anything wrong, Mom." I looked at him, didn't rush him, didn't doubt. He swallowed, went on. "That woman, just a parts courier from the shop next door. That day, it was pouring. Her car broke down on the road. I helped push it to a motel nearby, just to get out of the rain and fix it. I didn't go inside, just stood under the awning." I held my breath. Tommy gave a sad smile. And then Anna drove by, saw it. He stopped. Wind swept through, scattering dry leaves across the yard. He continued, clear. Anna stopped the car. Words flew. The motel manager came out to calm things. I grabbed her hand, tried to explain, but she pushed me away. He squinted, holding back tears. She said, "I was stupid to marry a low-life drifter like you. My parents warned me." A cold blade cut through me. I gripped my wrinkled hands on my knees. Tommy gave a bitter, desperate laugh. "You know, Mom, I grew up with all kinds of shame, called a runner, a gopher, looked down on, but nothing hurt like hearing that from my wife, the person I love most." I swallowed tears, holding steady. Tommy took a deep breath, looking to the sky. "I didn't chase her, not because I don't love her, but because when someone stops trusting you, no amount of explaining changes it." I reached out, lightly touching his rough hand. After a long moment, I said, voice choked, "Son, I believe you." Tommy gripped my hand hard, like clinging to a lifeline in a storm. We sat there, under the old awning, in the faint smell of late sun and damp wood. No more words needed, just trust, simple, clear, like a small light flickering in the longest night. That afternoon, as golden sun slanted through bare oak branches, Tommy's phone pinged, a soft chime, screen lighting up in the old kitchen's dim glow. He grabbed it, froze a moment, then sat on the wooden chair, hands shaking as he opened the message. I was nearby, knitting, pretending to focus on stitches, but I saw his shoulders slump. A message from Anna. Long, messy, like typed with trembling hands. "Tommy, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying those things. Things I didn't mean. I shouldn't have insulted you, shouldn't have torn down everything you've built. I can't forgive myself for hurting you like that. But that day, I don't know what to think. I still see it, in my head, clear as day. I don't know. I don't want to doubt you, but I can't stop hurting. I'm sorry for everything I said, did, for every way I hurt us." The message trailed off, incomplete. No full apology, no promise to return. Just a tangle of pain and confusion, spilling like a river breaking its banks. Tommy read it, sat still. I set my knitting down, walked over, sat beside him. He handed me the phone, wordless. I read each line, each halting ellipsis, like hearing stifled sobs behind every word. I gave the phone back, gentle. Tommy buried his face in his rough hands, fingers trembling. I didn't hug him, didn't pat his back, just sat, quiet, beside him. Because I knew some pains can't be soothed. Some misunderstandings can't be patched with one apology. Only time, only trust, only patience could pick up the pieces bit by bit. Outside, early winter wind hissed through the old door. The little house huddled in the flickering cold. But in my heart, a small flame of faith still burned, faint but never out. That day, after work, as Anna sorted files in her office, her phone buzzed. A strange message. "Can we meet? I'm outside." With a name she hadn't saved. Anna frowned. A bad feeling crept in. But something urged her out. Under the old pepper tree by the courthouse gate, the woman waited. Clutching a thin purse, she looked awkward, lost, anxious. Anna approached slow, eyes sharp, like sizing up a suspect. The woman bowed her head, voice tiny. Can you walk with me a bit? Just coffee." Anna hesitated. A mix of scorn and curiosity stirred. She nodded, cold. "Where?" "A small diner a few blocks away. Plain tables, yellow light dim." They sat across, each with a steaming black coffee. Neither spoke first. The woman fidgeted, twisting the tablecloth's edge, eyes glued to the uneven floor. Anna lost patience. She gripped her purse strap, voice hard. "What do you want? Speak." The woman flinched, face reddening. After a moment, she stammered, "I'm sorry. For that day, I messed things up." Anna's heart pounded. Her worst fear may be true. She stood fast, chair scraping the concrete. "No need to say more," she said, voice icy. She turned to go. But the woman lunged, grabbing Anna's sleeve, voice panicked. "It's not what you think, really, just a misunderstanding." Anna yanked free, eyes flashing with anger and pain. Misunderstanding? At a motel? A man and a woman? In the rain? You call that a misunderstanding? The woman sobbed, tears spilling. "Yes, it was. My car broke down. Tommy was just kind, helped me push it to cover. Nothing happened." Anna clutched her purse tighter. Her heart split, one half wanting to believe, one half screaming no. She looked into the woman's eyes. No cunning, no smugness, just clumsy, scared, a regret she couldn't voice. Anna turned away, said nothing more. She left the diner, yellow light fading, and the woman's small, stunned shape blurring behind bitter coffee fumes. Her steps were heavy. In her chest, pain smoldered like unquenched coals. She didn't know what to believe, didn't know how to forgive, didn't know where to start again. Only knew tonight sleep would come in pieces, if at all. Anna climbed into her car, hands tight on the wheel. She meant to drive straight to her mom's, like a wounded animal crawling to safety. The car rolled out of the rundown diner, merging into streets flickering with yellow lamps. She drove on autopilot, mind blank. Not until she saw the familiar wooden fence and the house glowing faintly under the porch light did she snap awake. She froze. This was her husband's house, not her mom's. Hands shaking, she fumbled the gear shift. She hit the brake, meaning to turn around. But then, in the rearview mirror, a figure shuffled down the narrow road behind. Tommy, walking, shirt wet with sweat, shoulders slumped. When he saw the familiar car, he stopped cold, just stood there, didn't wave, didn't call. Just stood behind the car, under patchy yellow light, cold wind cutting through. Anna gripped the wheel tighter, heart racing, sweat beading her forehead. Panicked, she jerked the gear shift, starting to turn. The tire squeaked softly on damp dirt. She was about to floor it, but Tommy stepped forward. He didn't tap the window, just placed his calloused hand lightly on the hood near the driver's side. A slow, careful move, like he feared breaking the fragile air between them. Anna looked up. Through the fogged glass, she saw Tommy's eyes, cloudy, tired, but gentle. He said her name, voice firm. Anna. She swallowed, caught off guard. Before she could react, he went on, almost a whisper. I want us to talk. Simple words, but they fell, heavy, grounding the moment. Anna let go of the wheel. She sat still, not nodding, not shaking her head, just frozen, letting their breaths, each on their side of the glass, meet, heavy and rough with hurt. Wind howled through bare oaks. The porch light cast their shadows, intertwined, distorted but whole. Anna sat still behind the wheel. Outside, Tommy stood, hand still light on the hood, not pressing, not demanding, just a quiet invitation. Finally, Anna opened the door, stepped out. She stood a distance away, close enough to hear his heavy breaths, far enough for wind to slip between. Neither spoke right away, just the sound of branches tapping the tin roof in the wind. Tommy stepped closer, then sat on the porch steps, back against an old wooden post. Didn't wait for her okay, didn't ask her to sit, just looked up at her, eyes tired but bright as the flickering porch light. His voice was soft. I'm not perfect, Anna. She clutched her purse strap, heart twisting. Tommy bowed his head, big hands rubbing his knees, an old habit. I'm just a regular guy, not smart, not smooth, and I can do dumb things. His voice cracked on the last word. Anna pressed her lips tight. Tommy looked up, meeting her eyes, a look not begging, not excusing, just raw and real. I messed up with you. One short sentence, no blaming the rain, no rambling about broken cars, no digging up details, just owning the mistake, that's it. He clenched his hands, knuckles pale. He went on, slow, each word heavy with heart. I'm not denying anything, Anna. I'm not the man you thought I was. But if you've got any room left to give me another shot, I swear I'll make it right. His voice caught, then pushed out the last words, plain, clumsy, but bone-deep sincere. As long as you still want me here. Those words landed on the old brick yard, heavy as wind swirling through the house. Anna stood, hands trembling. In her eyes, Tommy, the rough, weathered, awkward at love man, shone brightest in his lowest moment. No defenses, no anger, just handing her his tattered heart and waiting for her to decide. The wind picked up. Their shadows stretched long on the steps, warped but still side by side. From inside the house, Charlotte stood behind the thin curtain. She had watched everything, without stepping in, without calling his name. Just quietly witnessing her son, the man she'd been estranged from for so many years, now sitting on the porch steps like the boy he once was, waiting to be forgiven. She couldn't see Anna's face clearly, but she saw how the girl stood, rigid like a tree branch bracing against the wind. And she saw Tommy's shoulders sink after his final words. There was a weariness to it all. Charlotte let go of the curtain and stepped outside. The wooden door creaked open. Tommy turned. For a brief moment, their eyes met. No words were exchanged, but everything was understood. Tommy began to rise, but Charlotte gently shook her head. Sit, she said, her voice low, not soft, not stern, just steady. She walked slowly, the soft shuffle of her slippers brushing the old brick floor. When she reached just a few steps away, she paused. One hand rested against the porch column. She let out a breath, not heavy, but the kind that cracks open a door long locked shut. Back then, she began, eyes still fixed on the patch of yard where Anna stood, I thought I knew everything you were carrying, Tommy. He swallowed hard. she continued, her voice light as a breeze. But a mother doesn't always protect the way she should. I forgot you were just a boy growing up in the middle of something broken. I sit here, in this creaking house, startled when my husband calls my name, pulling me back to now. I'm 80, early winter, cold wind sneaking through peeling window frames. In my hands, a half-knit scarf, stitches slow and steady, filling long silences. I look out at the yard, where he, my old husband, still takes his morning walk. His steps are slow, light, like time stopped rushing him. I smile faintly, whispering to myself, or maybe to someone out there, yeah, I've had my breathless moments. Those days, those long nights, those times I thought my heart would break from pain, now just hazy memories, like smoke and fog. The kids, they've grown. Tommy, the boy who clung to my apron, crying over scraped knees, is a man now, with a family, with worries I can't step into anymore. Anna, my sharp, quick daughter-in-law, has taken my place, holding things together for him. Joey, my grandson, bright as dawn, is grown too, leaving this town for his own dreams. And me? I'm still here, still knitting, still waiting, not for anyone to come back, but for my heart to settle a little more each day. I don't fret over clothes or ailments like before, don't lie awake fearing loss. The kids are steady now, but I'm lonely. Not because they left me behind, not because they forgot me, but because they don't need me at their world's center anymore. The day Tommy left at 9, the first time, I felt it. Now it's back, lighter, slower, but still sharp, like a thin cut stretching long. I've stepped back. I've learned to retreat. I chose to leave the center for Anna, for Joey, and that's how I love them, as fully as I can.